I grew up gay, which was hard because I wasn't. But all the it was hard enough being me and like me in the 80s in Worcester, Mass. It would be, it was a really hard time to be actually gay in Worcester in the 80s. But I was called gay by all the homophobic, toxically masculine boys in my neighborhood, my 5 brothers, relentless. And it was because I was different. I was sensitive, I was creative, I was artistic. I loved singing, I loved dancing, I loved performing. And I think they were all threatened by that, by how much I just loved sort of being out there. And it was also hard because in my home there was 8 kids. There was another big family earlier. And there were 8 kids, I was the 7th of 8, and there was just not enough attention, for all the kids. There's not enough money. We never had enough money. We never had enough food. We were always going to the food pantry. And something I learned early on was if your siblings, if your older, bigger, stronger siblings are laughing, it's hard for them to punch you. And so I was like, I got to make them laugh. I got to entertain them. And so comedy was always sort of this this sort of way to keep myself safe and protected. And I even remember, waiting in the food pantry line with my mom, and it was sort of like a depressing place to be in when you're a little kid. But I would sort of tap into the previous week's episode of In Living Color, Jim Carrey when he did Fire Marshal Bill. Let me tell you something. Suppose you're waiting in line at a food pantry and you're looking for a chewy granola bar, and all I've got is Nature Valley Crunchy. And people would laugh. And it made me feel so good and seen, and I got that good positive attention. And in school, I did not get good positive attention. I got a lot of negative attention. And every report card, it was just super consistent. Acts out, speaks out, acts out, acts out. And it was not a good thing. And I would constantly get my peers in a group, and I would try to perform the most recent Chris Farley, sketch from Saturday Night Live, where he's Matt Foley, motivational speaker. I am thrice divorced, and I'm living in a van down by the river. And I didn't want to live in a van down by the river, and I really wanted to just get out. I wanted to get out of that crappy central Mass town I grew up in. I wanted to get out of this poor family. I loved my siblings, and I loved my family. And it was my mom. My mom was constantly looking for ways to help me tap into the arts and performing and singing and dancing. And we would constantly be dancing and singing in our house, in our kitchen. I remember she would play Peter Gabriel, and we would just be dancing, and we'd just be singing, and it was just the best. I just remember in your eyes, sing it with me. The light, the heat, your eyes, I am complete, your eyes, don't remember the words. Your eyes, revolution. Oh, I want. So it was fun, and it didn't feel like I was poor. It didn't feel like I didn't get enough attention. It felt special. And my mom was constantly looking. She somehow drove me to sculpture class at the Worcester Art Museum at 7 a.m. on Saturday mornings. I don't know how she found the money to get me into it, but it was special. It was just me. I was the only boy in the family that was into these kind of arts, and she just found ways to connect me. She got me a job when I was 11. She was a professional photographer for the Worcester Telegram and Gazette, and she got me a job at the local newspaper as a photographer, and I got $5 a picture in the paper. And she was always helping me out and finding those outlets. And it worked. So I performed in high school. I did a cappella singing, and I did theater and musical theater. And I can honestly say I am a professional improvisational comedian who makes $50 a show at the Happier Valley Comedy Theater the first Saturday of every month. I'm a professional comedian in the Pioneer Valley. And I danced, and I kept dancing, and I finally got to take my first dance class in college, my last year of college, and 3 months, I did this intensive class 3 days a week, and I was dancing behind this incredibly skilled, graceful woman, and 20 years later, she'd become my wife, and now we have 2 beautiful children who are creative and sensitive and they speak out and they act out. And thank you, Mom, and thank you, Art.